work on how to make my muscles pop. Hi, beautiful beings. My name is Brittany. Today I'm going to be sharing about how I got stronger. How I got stronger, how I gained muscle and strength on my body. Yeah, that was in my I'm back video I did a couple videos ago. That was one of the biggest comments I got, was just like, you look strong. And it feels so good to feel strong and to feel recognized for that. So thank you. And I've received a lot of comments over the years about how did you get stronger? What do you think it's from? What do you attribute it to? So that was really fun. I sat down and thought about that for a while. Really, what would I tell you? What would I tell you, hey, this is what I think made me physically stronger? And I want to say, not just stronger, because there's a lot of ways to gain strength, but to gain more muscle on my body as well. And I have a sense of what it is, and I'm going to share about that today. In the comments, so I posted this on my Instagram account, ask me your questions about how to get stronger, or how I got stronger. A lot of people asked for specific questions and guidance on movement or nourishment or just practices that help me get there, specifics. And I want to refer you to the Living Embodied program that Bridget and I have created. And you can learn so much more there. There's a free sample, a free trial, so you can get a sense of what the program's all about. It's a program and a community that just is all about embodied living and how to become more of your thriving embodied self in the areas of movement, nourishment, mindfulness, just full being embodiment. So I've included the link below and I invite you to check that out. And I'm going to start by sharing, I think I'll start by sharing about nourishment. Nourishment. And when I say nourishment, there's so many ways to nourish our bodies. So specifically, I'll talk about food and hydration. That has been one of the areas of life that has changed the most for me, and that I imagine has played a huge part in my getting stronger. Of course, there's a mystery to all this. I can tell you, I think it's all these things, and I'll never fully know. So I love presenting that I love sharing everything with that grain of salt, because we just don't know. And that's one of the beauties of life, is that it's a mystery. And I love sharing ideas and thoughts and intuitive, channels that I have or that I'm open to. And also, I think our deepest internal sense, each of us following our own tuition, our own internal guidance, is always the best advice we could take. So as you're receiving all this, I invite you to take it in, see how it feels for your system, see what parts of it feel like they could apply to you right now, what parts inspire you, what parts you're that's not for me, and just know that, the intention of this video is to share my experience and for you to do with the information whatever serves you best. So nourishment, I have some notes down here. I think one of the biggest ways is having more protein in my diet, and in particular, having meat in my diet. So if you've followed me for a long time, you know that I used to eat a plant-based diet for 7 years. A lot of those years I ate a fruit-based diet, so I really just ate a lot of fruit and leafy greens. And after giving birth to Ilya, about 2 months after, when Ilya was 2 months old, I started to eat, it was first eggs and fish and then chicken and then beef and meat and then sort of, all types of meat and organ meat, etc. And I was just craving it. That people asked why I was craving it. And I had been in partnership with Bridget for about a year at that time, and she ate, she seemed to live a thriving life. She was strong, she was embodied, she had great rhythms to her day, and she ate meat, and she was really the only person had been around who wasn't eating plant-based, and it was cool to see. Something I had noticed in the plant-based movement is that there were very few examples of people who looked really strong to me. A lot of like endurance athletes, a lot of like long, lean people with muscle for sure, but like a lot of muscle I didn't see. And I had been trying to build strength for some time, and I did get pretty strong. I felt strong in a lot of ways, but it was hard for me to put on muscle. It was hard for me to be able to lift heavier and heavier things. And that really shifted for me when I started incorporating meat and healthy fats into my diet. So going from a diet that was probably predominantly carbohydrate based, even when I started adding more like plant-based proteins in, there still was no way I was like hitting the higher protein numbers, or I think on some level, like getting the protein my body was like found out that it was craving at some point. So eating meat, I think, has been a huge part of why my body has just like naturally put on more muscle, because the fascinating thing is I don't do more movement now. I probably do less movement in a certain way since having Ilya. I used to train acrobatics and handstands like hours a day sometimes, and I don't do that now. I will say, in the realm of movement, I do focus more on strength, and I did a lot more of like endurance things, like muscular endurance. I had like a super strong core from holding my body tight in so many acrobatics moves, but I wasn't like lifting as many heavy weights. So I think the second thing is like my movement style has evolved. I do more bent arm movements, which was definitely a place of, I wasn't as strong in my bent arm strength. My straight arm strength was definitely strong, but when it came to like more bent arm movements, I didn't have that like bicep, triceps, and like my back strength has really increased. So doing movement on gymnastics rings, I love now. More like primal animal-based flow movements on the floor I love mountain biking. That's been new to my life in these last years. I lift weights. I lift more weights now, so like big Olympic lifts. And I also still do a lot of like calisthenics and body weight movements. You can do so much with those to put on muscle. And if you're curious about specifics for that, that's also included in our Living Embodied program. All these things are. Another huge shift has been a focus on restoration and recovery. And in a way, it's come just by proxy. Since being a mom, I noticed that I don't always have like the same time or energy to go to a movement session that I used to. I love movement and I incorporate it into my day kind of no matter what, just naturally. However, I naturally have more rest days, or like especially when Ilya was younger, if I didn't sleep at night much, like I wasn't gonna be doing as much movement the next day. So I naturally have more rest and recovery. And in addition to that, just being because I'm a mom and a business owner and I have a full life, it's also because I tune into my body more. And something that has sort of paralleled this journey for me, which you could hear more about in a podcast I'll link below, has been my journey with intuitive eating and healing on another level my relationship with my body and body image, which is something I struggled with since I remember like being 10 years old and it really starting. And I used to be so focused on being lean in this certain way that I think really inhibited my ability to be strong in a certain way. Like for what I was craving. I weigh probably like 15 pounds more than before I got pregnant. And the idea of that used to terrify me, like weighing more, being heavier, being bigger. And now I just, it doesn't faze me at all. And I think on some level, like spiritually welcoming in strength, welcoming in being strong, like physically, emotionally, etc. Just coming to terms with any fears I might have had around being a strong individual, and was sort of like blocking that in some way. I feel like I've intuitively made peace with all that, and I love being strong now. I'm excited to keep getting stronger. And I've noticed, for example, the people that were on my vision boards and how they shifted over the like 15 years that I was making vision boards. You'll see like these like leaner, like model type chicks, and then it'll be like, oh, someone who has more strength, and then like more strength and more strength. And now I just feel like, well, first of all, I feel like everybody's body is so beautiful, however it is. But I used to feel like when I would see somebody, like usually a female, who had a lot of muscle on her body, I'd be like, wow, that's so cool. But like, I can't embody that. Like, I don't know that I could do that and feel like fully myself. And now I feel quite the opposite. I feel like, I feel most embodied when I feel strong, and physical strength being a part of that feels like no brainer at all to me. I know I already hit on nourishment, but kind of going back to that in the vein of this with like body image and intuitive eating, I eat more now. I think I don't really track what I eat, but I like to have 3 balanced meals a day with protein, fat, and carbohydrates represented in each meal, just because that's what feels best for me most of the time. Like some days I have 2 meals. But yeah, that I think I was under eating for a really long time, and my body didn't have the resources it needed to build muscle. And I imagine part of that was protein and fat and etc. But it was also just like it needed more. And in a way, it seemed like I just couldn't give it enough of what it needed with the foods I used to choose to eat. Yeah, my guess is these are the main reasons why I've gotten stronger. And there's all these other contributing factors. Being in partnership with Bridget has been a huge contributing factor, because movement is one of both of our main love languages. And being around somebody who embodies strength and agility and is such a beautiful mover has inspired me to branch out and to try different styles of movement and to focus more on strength with gymnastics rings or with animal flow, or the way we dance together, and just like naturally bringing in more strength to that. So I think the people we surround ourselves with, we tend to become more like. So that's definitely been a part of it. And then, yeah, just the mystery of it all. And I think being ready, like this has just been a time for me to feel stronger, to feel more embodied in my strength. And yeah, I don't know fully, and I'm loving the journey of it. And some days I feel like my physical strength is represented more than other days. Maybe today after I do a workout, I'll be super pumped and you'll get to see all my big muscles. Or, you know, I've been resting more recently and they're not as prominent looking. And like, that's another piece that I feel more relaxation around, is just like the ebb and flow of what our bodies look and feel like. And there's seasons, you know, there's seasons in our hormonal cycles. There's seasons in the earth cycles, there's seasons in our spiritual cycles. Like there's just so many things, and above all, trusting where we're at entirely, while also feeling inspired to envision what we are wanting to call forth. So thank you for all your questions. Thank you for celebrating strength with me. Thank you for celebrating yourself and being up here and just showing up and being curious about what wants to be birthed through you right now. I would love to see you over on Living Embodied. You can sign up. We've just launched it to the public after having 2 rounds of founding members. You can also sign up for a free call with one of us if you're like, I don't know, like I want to talk to you about me and tell you what I'm all about and see if this would be a good fit for me or what you think would be a good fit for me right now. So we're available for that as well. I hope you're having such a beautiful day.